Hey there. Welcome back. Today, I have a little book review for you. It has been a while since I have done any book ASMR, and I do love the sounds of books, particularly library books. And usually when I do book videos, I do slightly longer videos with a group of books. But today I decided I would try doing a shorter video with just one book because I need to return this book to the library. And before I do so, I wanted to share it with you. This book is called Almost Everything, Notes on Hope by Anne Lamott. And Anne Lamott is a wonderful, inspiring writer. She has written quite a few books, nonfiction books and novels, and I have always enjoyed her essays and her reflections on life. So when I saw this book recently at the library, I decided to pick it up, first of all because it's just such a pretty book. I love the color of the cover and these sparkles and the sort of thin, skinny little size to it. And I'll admit, with a lot of the things I've been going through these last few months, it's been hard for me to focus on reading. And so this title really appealed to me, that it was Notes on Hope, because I felt like I could use some notes on hope these days. And because it was a slim book and they are little short essays, I was like, okay, I think I can handle this. And I'm so glad that I picked it up. I really am, because it's a wonderful and very inspiring book. This was published in 2018, so it's not a new book, but I felt like everything she was talking about was so relevant to me and to the world right now, because it's basically a book about how can we, as humans, with so many challenging things and terrible things, frankly, going on in the world, and sometimes the challenging things going on in our own lives, how can we keep our joy and keep our hope and not fall into despair? And she just has a wonderful way of writing about that topic. As I said, these are a number of short essays, each one on a theme sort of related to that larger theme of how do we cultivate hope in challenging and discouraging times. And what I love about her writing is that it's very quick-witted and it's very concise and kind of dense writing. I mean, you'll read a paragraph of hers and you're like, whoa, there's a lot to unpack with that. There's a lot to think about. But at the same time, it's very light and easy to read, and she's very funny. And she has what I would call a compassionate sarcasm, where she's very realistic about things. She is not a sugar-coated, saccharine kind of writer, but yet She writes with a lot of love and a lot of tenderness. And she writes about spiritual topics in a way that I find very compelling because she writes about them in a very realistic way and acknowledges that spirituality can look very different for different people, but that having some kind of a connection to the divine or something larger than ourselves is so important in living a good life and keeping balance as imperfect, beautiful humans. So I made a few notes here of things that I wanted to share with you. I thought I'd read just a few passages from it. It's divided up into these little chapters, some of which are quite short, and then some of which are longer. And the title actually comes from something at the end of the book. I'll do a little page flipping here. In the very last chapter, which is called Hope, and she starts this chapter by saying, "Some days there seems to be little reason for hope in our families, cities, and world. Well, except for almost everything." Because she talks a lot about the small daily miracles that keep us all going, the small moments of beauty, and all the reasons for hope that we have all around us. And one of my favorite chapters in this book was the second chapter called Inside Job, and it's all about worthiness. I recently shared in my most recent mental health update video that I have been doing a lot of my own internal work around self-worth and valuing myself for who I am outside of my productivity or what I do or what I earn or how much I succeed, of really just valuing my own worth. And so I wanted to read you the beginning of this chapter, Inside Job. There is almost nothing outside you that will help in any kind of lasting way unless you are waiting for a donor organ. You can't buy, achieve, or date serenity. Peace of mind is an inside job, unrelated to fame, fortune, or whether your partner loves you. Horribly, what this means is that it is also an inside job for the few people you love most desperately in the world. We cannot arrange lasting safety or happiness for our most beloved people. They have to find their own ways, their own answers. No one single person in history has gotten an alcoholic sober. Maybe you'll be the first, but, and I say this with love, I doubt it. If it is someone else's problem, you probably don't have the solution. I hate this. I have my eye on a new rug for my study that would so inspire me to write better, faster, smarter. Also, on some leftover Halloween candy, which I know this one time wouldn't give me a sugar rush and the inevitable crash. And I have a list of excellent ideas on how almost everyone I know should proceed in order to improve the quality of their lives, which might coincidentally improve the quality of mine, as I could stop worrying about their bad choices and wasted potential. The desperate drive to own and control in order to fill our psychic holes, relieve anxiety, fix difficulties, and cauterize old wounds takes root at an early age and is doomed. It is like going to the hardware store for bread. It doesn't sell bread. I can live on corn nuts and paydays for only so long. Probably no longer than 2 weeks. And she goes on in this chapter to talk about what a challenge it is that we can't fix other people's problems, no matter how much we love them. And I am a fixer and someone who wants to swoop in and save the day and protect people from pain and make sure that everyone I love is taken care of. And also that we can't go out and earn more self-worth for ourselves. Yes, there are worthwhile things to do in this world, and there are ways that we can have beautiful lives and engage with things, but that's not going to affect our actual worth. We can't go out and get more self-worth. And that really came home to me in this chapter. Basically, the way she says it is that all the worth that you have is already inside you. You can't go out and get more. And that really struck me, that all the worth that I'm ever going to have in my life is already here inside me. I just have to find it and recognize it. And it doesn't matter how wonderful of a person I am or how terrible of a person I am out in the world. I can't get more self-worth. I have to value myself for the intrinsic worth that I already have. So that chapter really was very insightful to me. And she talks a lot about addiction and her own struggle with addiction and those in her family and friends that have struggled with addiction. She talks very candidly and openly about dealing with death and accepting aging and accepting all those inevitable tough things in life and how to do that with grace and joy. Let me see, what else did I write down about her? She also talks about writing in this book. She is very well known for her writing about writing, and there are some wonderful chapters about creativity and being in touch with your own artistry, but not allowing some sort of external goal with your creativity to get in the way of your joy and of you sharing your light. And she also talks about not getting caught up in hating people, even the challenging people in your life or public figures or the people who are by all measures doing terrible things in the world. Not to let your own heart get poisoned by hating those people. So there are a lot of very useful themes in this book. And again, it just really struck me and engaged me because I feel like it's exactly where I am right now, that I'm struggling with a lot of challenging things and trying to not be overwhelmed by the challenging things in the world, and finding that balance between the reality of life and then the joy and the hope that resides in inside each one of us and helps us move through each day and is what living life is all about. So there was one other section in here I wanted to read to you where she's talking about joy, because I think it's just so true and so beautiful. This is in the chapter called Humans 101. Almost everyone is screwed up, broken, clingy, scared, and yet designed for joy. Even, or especially, people who seem to have it more or less together are more like the rest of us than you would believe. I try not to compare my insides to their outsides because this makes me much worse than I already am, and if I get to know them, they turn out to have plenty of irritability and shadow of their own. Besides, those few people who aren't a mess are probably good for about 20 minutes of dinner conversation. This is good news, that almost everyone is petty, narcissistic, secretly insecure, and in it for themselves, because a few of the funny ones may actually long to be friends with you and me. They can be real with us, the greatest relief. As we develop love, appreciation, and forgiveness for others over time, we may accidentally develop those things toward ourselves, too. While you might think it's a trick, having affection for one's goofy, crabby, annoying, lovely self is home. This has been my meager salvation. That we are designed for joy is exhilarating, within reach, now or perhaps later today, after a nap, as long as we do not mistake excitement for joy. Joy is good cheer. My partner says joy and curiosity are the same thing. Joy is always a surprise, and often a decision. Joy is portable. Joy is a habit, and these days it can be a radical act. Buffy St. Marie said, "Keep your nose to the joy trail." So for now, let's define joy as a slightly giddy appreciation, an inquisitive stirring, as when you see the first crocuses, the earliest, struggling, stunted emergence of color in late winter, cream or gold against the tans and browns. And I love that because I do look for the crocuses every year as a sign of hope. And so this is just a lovely little book. Like I said, it's very witty, it's very funny. She will make you laugh, and she will get you with her little zingers that make you be like, oof, yeah, that's me. And to me, that's the best kind of writing, the writing that makes you know yourself a little better and feel more connected to others in the world. And as I said, she really has a wonderful take on spirituality, and I like the way that she shares her faith and the value of prayer and connection to God and connection to nature, but in a very irreverent way that I found very engaging and very inspiring and reassuring in my own journey. So, okay, I think those were my little notes that I wanted to share with you about Almost Everything, Notes on Hope by Anne Lamott. So let me know if you liked this little book review, and perhaps I will do some more of these in the future. But particularly because this was a book that really lifted my spirits at a time when I greatly needed it and made me feel very seen and understood, I wanted to share it with you. So thanks for listening and hanging out with me. Take good care of yourself. Rest well. Pick up a good book, perhaps. Allow yourself that pleasure. And I'll see you again soon.